Okay, so as Adam said, my name is Jamie Burrell, and I head up the consultancy team at CleverTouch. And today I just wanted to talk about some of the things that we see our clients doing to enhance their sales and marketing alignment, where they've been struggling before, some of the improvements that they're making, and a strategy that I think you guys should be following in order to achieve your goals. So, in my role, I do see a lot of sales and marketing misalignment. We run a lot of workshops and facilitate a lot of discussions for both at a project level, so talking about things like lead management and lead scoring, or when we're engaging with senior stakeholders in a business and trying to sell in the benefits of MA. And these conversations all come back to sales and marketing alignment. And there's often a big element of that in any workshop that I run. We have had to introduce a rule for these sorts of workshops at CleverTouch, and that is that sales actually turn up and be in the room. You might think that would be sort of really basic, but it's actually surprisingly hard to do. And sometimes that's because sales don't value and don't trust the work the marketing are doing, and they're not willing to put in the time and effort into attending another marketing initiative that they don't think will go anywhere. And other times it's because marketeers think that they can deliver all of the benefits without actually having to engage sales. You know, there's a quick way through this, we'll just get on with it ourselves. And inevitably what you find is that somewhere down the line, marketeers are misunderstanding what sales are looking for from them as marketeers. So I've been in many workshops where the marketing team are sat around trying to guess what sales do with the MQLs that they're handing over, what their processes are after that. And you always find there's a misalignment between what marketing think a good lead is and what sales actually want and are actually looking for. I was in one workshop where I knew it was going to be a particularly long day when the sales representative walked into the room, introduced himself to me, shook my hand, and then proceeded to do the same to the marketeers sat around the table. And this was the first time these people had met. So when you've got issues like that, it's clearly not something that any project or technology is going to solve. It's clearly a cultural issue. And it's going to take time and effort and a drive from the senior leadership team in order to make an impact and drive any changes. So confronted with a challenge like that, what is the best way forward? Well, the first thing you need to do is make sure you sit down and have that conversation with sales and really align on what they're looking for and their goals from marketing. What we often find is actually marketing have a misunderstanding about what sales are looking for, and actually some of the survey results align to that as well. You know, your perception of yourselves as marketeers is that you're a lead generation engine and that you should be providing leads to sales. Actually, we don't always find that's the case. So when we do sit down with sales and marketing and get to that point where we can establish the common goals, we tend to find that most organizations break into two broad approaches. The first is that lead generation approach. This is typically where the sales teams are large, they're process-driven, they're selling well-defined products on relatively short sales cycles, and lots of our clients in the events and publishing and recruitment industries fall into this bucket. Here, marketing's key role is to provide those leads to sales, those metaphorical business cards they can stick on top of the salesperson's desk and tell them to start calling and ringing through. If this is your organization, then the benefits of marketing automation to you will be increased lead volume, increased lead quality, increased conversion rates. However, for a lot of salespeople, this sort of approach couldn't be less relevant. And typically this is where salespeople are working in those more traditional B2B sales type roles, where there is a very well-defined target market, that the company has strong brand awareness in that space, and sales have that perception that they know everybody in that space already. You know, what are some more business cards going to tell me? I know everybody that's worth talking to. And for our clients in asset management, in pharmaceuticals, in defence, that's often the case. So what's marketing's role in that situation? Well, as Adam's already alluded to, is to move towards a more sales intelligence-based approach. Start answering questions that sales aren't able to answer at the moment. Questions like, you know, what did that prospect do when I put that on the phone? Did they read the follow-up email? Did they forward it to a colleague? Should I be calling that person instead? And when a prospect says to a salesperson, yeah, that sounds interesting, but I'm not ready for it right now, it becomes marketing's role to alert the salesperson when that company starts re-engaging with your marketing activities 3 or 4 months later. So hopefully for you guys in the audience, you can see which one of these probably should be your focus, whether you should be focusing more on getting those leads to sales, or whether you should be trying to enrich their existing experience with their existing contacts. In reality, many of you will have a blend of both, and there will be a touch of both, but it's important when you're trying to talk to sales and engage them that you pick the benefits that are most relevant for them as an organization. So, starting with that lead generation approach, if you're in that category, what are some of the things you can be doing to drive better sales and marketing alignment? So the first thing that we at CleverTouch will do whenever we run a workshop on lead management or on sales and marketing alignment is we'll draw a blank sales and marketing funnel up on the board, and we'll ask the representatives in the room to complete this. And often we find that we get kind of a jumble of words being thrown at us, things like lead, prospect, contact, deal, opportunity, and very rarely do they come in a consistent order with clear definitions and stages between them. So if that's the case, that's often the case because sales have a very strong opportunity management funnel. Most salespeople can tell you what their sales methodology is down at the bottom of the funnel, and most marketeers in this room will be able to tell me what methodology they use when designing their campaigns to move people down the top of the funnel. But rarely we find organizations that can articulate their joined-up sales and marketing funnel. So I might start by drawing up a best practice funnel up on the board, something like this, where you've got your suspects at the top, which is everyone that could potentially buy, those that are engaged are your prospect pool, and eventually at some point they're going to achieve a strong engagement and they're going to be that right customer fit for you, which allows you to qualify them within marketing. Then it's over to sales. Sales go through their qualification process, and if they identify that opportunity, then that becomes a sales qualified lead. Now, whilst a standard funnel like this, using standard terminology like this, is good and beneficial, it allows you to come and sit in events like this and understand what I'm talking about, it's actually more valuable and more important to make sure you align your funnel to terminology that's used within your business. So in the last month or so, I've had 2 clients say to me, Jamie, we can't use the word marketing lead because sales don't trust marketing leads. We've lost that kind of trust there. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you're marketeers. I'm not, but you guys are. So you can rebadge and rebrand. So instead of talking about marketing leads, talk about handing sales deals or opportunities. Really chime with their language and really start to engage them and get them brought back in. So once you've got the funnel that works for your organization, it's then important that you print that out, stick it on the wall in your sales and marketing departments, and socialize it. And then that you can use that really consistently, and so can sales, and you can start talking that same language. Once you've got the same language, it's then all about talking about the same numbers. So you're going to see a few of these sorts of KPI dashboards today. Adam's already shown you one, and Matt's going to be showing you the ones that we use internally within CleverTouch. But I think it's important that you pick 2 or 3 really core KPIs, whether that's number of leads, lead quality, and then some sort of metric around how much pipeline you guys are influencing as marketeers. And those are the 2 or 3 that you socialize regularly to the business and you can measure against. Now, dashboards are great because they can give you that context around those numbers as well. They can show you how is this month compared to last month? Am I tracking to target? Are things improving or are they getting worse? However, once you've got those KPIs, the next thing you need to do is make sure that the business trusts them. So that when you're saying back to the business that those KPIs are going up, you're generating more leads, that the people around that table actually believe that more leads means more revenue. And sometimes this is quite a hard sort of link to establish, and otherwise people perceive them as vanity metrics. So if you're in a situation where, like most marketeers, you're reporting on the number of marketing qualified leads, often that doesn't have any account of the quality of those leads, and that's something that Adam's already touched on. So there can be a perception that marketeers can generate more leads, but that doesn't result in more revenue. If you're in that situation, then introduce another stage within your funnel for sales acceptance. Allow sales to say yes or no to each lead that you're passing over. They can. There's no reason why sales shouldn't be able to do that within 24 or 48 hours of you handing over any one lead. And you can then hold sales to account that they're doing their end of the bargain, that they're actually following up the leads that you're generating. And as marketeers, it's important that you can talk to sales leadership when you see that the sales processes aren't being followed and your leads are being ignored. So if, however, you were in that second bucket of organisation where your focus really needs to be on providing more sales intelligence, then you're doing that at the right time. Because historically, the marketing automation platforms have been really focused on that lead generation aspect, and marketeers have too. And that was actually something that came out in Adam's results set, your perception of being a lead generation engine. So now is the right time to be looking at sales intelligence, because the platforms over the last couple of years have all started to realise the value of being able to provide new insight and intelligence directly to a salesperson within their CRM tool and provide that information that they haven't been able to provide before. So tools like Par.Engage and Par.Engagement History are great at being able to give sales that real-time insight into their contacts that they're looking after and that they're engaging with. And I'm sure Marinda will talk more about these later on. However, if all you do is put the technology in, then I can guarantee it will sit there in the CRM platform unused and unloved. You need to do this hand in hand with an engagement exercise with sales. Talk to sales ops, talk to sales enablement, run some training, and really try and socialise the benefits of using this sort of technology. Salespeople aren't naturally ones to pick up new process. So talk to them about how you can use this information to identify new cross-sell and upsell opportunities, where maybe an account has been looking on your website at products other than the one you've been talking about. Or improve that speed to lead time so that the second one of their key prospects or key contacts hits your website or engages with a piece of marketing collateral, that salesperson can know about it straight away and can pick it up and action it from there. We find that processes like this work really well when you're working with a sales team that's already very well established in their CRM platform, that they're using that to manage their deals and their opportunities. However, I know from experience, and so does everyone else at CleverTouch, that often that's not the case. And often salespeople aren't robustly using the CRM platform correctly, and they might be taking a more traditional approach to managing their deals and opportunities. So if that's the case in your organisation, then take a more collaborative and discussion-based approach. So on the right-hand side here is a dashboard that we've just produced for one of our clients, and he was a marketing manager working on a marketing campaign which was targeted at 60 key accounts that sales had identified and would be in parallel to the sales activity that's going on. So this is exactly that blended approach that Adam was talking about. What we've done in this dashboard is take the data and roll it up to the level that sales actually care about. It isn't the individual, it's at that account level. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see that list of accounts ranked by how engaged all the contacts are within that account. The marketeer was then able to take this to a Friday afternoon meeting with sales, and they could then pick and choose the information and the accounts that they wanted to explore further in that collaborative environment. So they could pick out the ones that maybe sales weren't getting any traction in, or ones where sales were moving a deal forward but maybe wanted to better understand the buying committee and who it was that has been researching. So an approach like this is relatively easy to do if you've got the infrastructure in place to produce dashboards and analyse the data, but it doesn't burden sales with new process, and it can be much more collaborative and discussion-based. You can dive into those insights that they really care about and just ignore the accounts on the list where sales are like, yeah, we've got that covered, we know what's going on there. So whether you need to focus on that lead generation or on that sales intelligence approach, you now need to go ahead and execute on that. So you've got sales engaged, you've got them bought in, so what do you do next? So if it's lead generation that you're focused on, you need to be thinking about things like setting up a robust lead management process and lead scoring. You need to integrate your MA and your CRM platforms. And when you do that, I'd strongly recommend that you do that in a best practice way, and you use the opportunity to get rid of any legacy processes that may be existing in your business at the moment. Otherwise, you'll be living with the consequences for years to come. And if you've got to take a more sales intelligence-based approach, then make sure that you start mapping out those data flows. Where is the insights and information, and how do I get it into the CRM or business intelligence tool? Investigate whether there are technologies and tools out there that can help you, things like Pardot Engage, that can try and make your lives easier and make that an easier thing to establish. Whichever you do, you're not going to get it right first time, and sales will have feedback and comments for you. It's really important that you, whilst they're engaged, that you use that opportunity to work agile, be iterative, and take on board their feedback, make the changes, and show that you're willing to make this improvement. If you don't, then sales will start switching off, and you're back to square one in terms of that, achieving that alignment. So keep the momentum going and try and drive things forward. So, in summary from me then, 3 steps to effective alignment. The first one is establish the right benefits for your organisation. Focus on the thing that sales really want to hear about. Is it new leads, or is it actually more information and insight around existing contacts that you already know about? Number 2, establish that shared language and those shared metrics. Talk consistently about the funnel, talk consistently about the same KPIs, and make sure that everyone in the business understands what they mean. And finally, start building that collaborative culture. Try and engage with sales, but no project or no piece of technology is going to be a silver bullet here. And sales need to do their part as well. They need to be providing feedback and engaging with you, and you need to be taking that on board and actioning those changes. In reality, this sort of cultural change will only come from leadership at the top. So you need to be making sure that your management and your C-suite really have this on their agenda, and they can drive both sales and marketing to work closer together. At the end of the day, both sales and marketing have the same shared business goal, which is to drive new revenue into a business. And whilst there's always going to be some level of tension between the two, it's important that you communicate and work effectively in order to turn that into a positive as you drive towards that shared goal. So thank you. That's everything from me. I'm on the panel later on, so if you've got any questions, then please feel free to raise them.